gentlemen, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of the Hyper-Conscious Podcast. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode, where we sat down with what I'm sure was an amazing guest, because we haven't recorded it yet. Today, for episode number 426, we are going to talk about the problem with your problem solving. Oh.
Kevin's so excited about this episode just because of the title.
It just came to me.
He wrote it on the whiteboard. He was so excited.
Of course I did.
The problem with your problem solving is this. It's the fact that you're spending way too much time on identifying the problem and not nearly enough time on the solution. I'm going to give you a quick example, okay? So, Mother and I have an Amazon agreement, so to speak.
I gotta do this again.
I know. Here we go. Let Kevin get his water. It's story time.
Shades on.
So, Mother turned 60 this past weekend. And I don't know why that's relevant. It's not. But happy birthday to Mom.
Happy birthday, Mom.
And
3 shout-outs this week.
I have been purchasing Amazon Prime. I'm a happy Amazon Prime customer and have been for quite some time. And Mother wanted to benefit from that by using my account.
Naturally.
Which is awesome. That's fine. That's great. Problem is, I get emailed every time Mother buys something. And it annoys me a little bit, if I'm honest. Because every time she buys, returns, or it arrives, I get an email. And I think, ooh, work email, relevant, strategic goals, all that stuff.
Wrong.
And not true, right? And so I focused, instead of focusing on the problem and the frustration, I said, okay, Alan, what is the solution? So what I said, I called Mom up and I said, Mom, here's what we're going to do. We're going to have you go into the Amazon account and change the email address to yours, and then if I buy something, which is far rarer than if she does, just forward me that email. And so now I solved one problem, and I talked to Kevin about this. I solved one problem today that will solve me thousands in the future of those little moments of emails that weren't relevant. And so that's what this episode is about. Instead of just complaining and talking about the problem, once you have the root cause of the problem, now you got to work on a solution.
Fire. So one of the reasons this came up, I think Alan and I were in agreement on this topic because it's very relevant. But I was on a call earlier with somebody, and she was basically saying, like, look, I have money issues right now. I said, okay, cool. Like, let's talk about it, right? That's the problem. But it's that simple. Problem, money problems.
Money issues, let's talk about it.
Solution, here's 5 of them. Right? Start doing this, start doing this, start doing this, start doing this. And I said, this is actually the best possible thing that could happen to you. Because if you're good at problem solving, you only have a problem one time. And it's basically from there, how quick can you get to the solution? Right? So if say you have a hole in your boat and it's sinking, you don't focus on, oh my God, we have a hole in the boat. We focus on what can we do to plug the hole to keep the boat afloat. If you're spending your whole time looking at the hole saying, well, that's a pretty big hole. It's a decent-sized hole. The water's really rushing in. You're in trouble.
And then just talking about the water rushing in.
Yeah, you're in trouble. But imagine if you said, we have something we can put over that hole. Yeah. Or, like, let's just start trying to find stuff. Or, there's a lifeboat. Or can we try to paddle towards the land? Like, if you put your energy, first things first, become aware of the problem. Mm-hmm. Second thing, put as much energy as humanly possible into solving that problem.
Right. As long as and there's one caveat, and I talked to Kevin about this prior to the episode. We did an episode a while back on identifying the root cause.
Yes.
I would argue that sometimes it does take some time to figure out what the root cause is. Kevin and I were talking earlier about...
little delegation.
Yeah, delegation and the fear behind why certain things aren't being delegated. And it took us a little while to figure out what the fear was. Once we identified the fear and we knew we hit the root cause of the problem, then we went to a solution. And I think that's the important part. So number one, like Kevin said, become aware of the problem. That means, but you have to make sure you have the right one.
Yes.
What's an example of having the wrong root cause? Because that can cause a whole lot of issues because you're going to go to solving something that's not even really the problem.
I mean...
Ooh, headaches.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I don't know what you would think the cause is. Headache because you just have a headache versus headache because you're dehydrated?
Exactly. If you can take a pill to get rid of the discomfort of the headache, or you can learn how to hydrate more. Yeah. One of them solves the problem long term versus the other one, never solves the problem. It just band-aids it. And I think that's the one caveat. 5% on the problem, identifying the problem, the correct root cause, and then 95% on the solution.
And some problems are easy to solve. Like literally, she messaged me the other day and said, hey, can we hop on the phone at some point? I just want to discuss this problem I'm having. You just gave me the problem. It's my job to help you see the solutions.
Yeah.
And it's also my job to understand why the solution isn't already in place.
That's what coaching is.
It is.
Helping them identify problems
But I think
and
the
then solve them.
Yeah, and I think the thing of it is like I might not have had the same problem as you, but since I'm able to see it's my job to quickly go from problem to solution. Like do I care what the problem is? Of course, but the problem's not affecting me.
Right.
So I don't have to focus on it. Once you tell it to me, I know what it is. Like it's not emotionalized to me.
yeah.
I can give you, depending on the problem, I can give you hopefully several answers to what it is. And I think that
Because you don't have fears. When you're coaching someone else, you don't have their fears.
you don't have their scarcity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's scarcity around your problem. Problems create scarcity. And solutions create abundance. And it's very hard for you to go from a scarcity. I actually wrote something down. Let me just share it with the class.
Yeah, yeah. Share it with the class here. You got to move everything.
I'm out here a while and just knocking stuff off the table. Don't let that bother you. Timer just fell. Okay, here we go. Me. Switch from the scarcity of what is to the abundance of what could be.
Wow.
All that.
Listeners, ask yourself, was that worth the wait?
Look, and honestly, this is the benefit of listening to the Hyperconscious podcast. That's going to be a meme one of these days. So you guys already know. But so and the thing of it is, think of it this way: if you're broke, you're scarce,
Right.
right? I don't have enough of this, and you're focusing on what you don't have enough of,
Rather
not
than-
focusing on what you could make more of.
Right.
It's a completely different. Literally, when we talked about it, the mood of the call went from like, oh my God, I'm hopeless, to like, oh my God, I can't believe I was thinking that way. Literally.
Crazy, right?
In an hour.
So here's a scenario. Let's say you're out there and you don't have enough money to pay your bills this month. Okay? There's what the problem is that you don't have the money to pay your bills this month. But most people they revert back to what they know how to do instead of learning how to do what they want to do. I'll give you an example. Let's say you're an entrepreneur, you're early in your journey, and you don't know how to make enough money to pay your bills this month. You might think to yourself, should I go get a job? I'm going to go get my old job back. The problem is that's a short-term fix that doesn't actually solve anything in the future.
Right.
Whereas instead of like, why don't I just learn how to sell? What if I learn sales more effectively? What if I learn how to prospect, build relationships, build a brand? One of them is a macro solution. The other one is a micro Band-Aid. Learning how to hydrate more effectively, more consistently is a macro solution to headaches. A micro Band-Aid is taking Tylenol, taking Advil. And by the way, one of them costs you money. The other one is, well, I guess I shouldn't say free because water's not free, but you know what I'm saying? That's happening to all of us. Kevin and I are guilty of that too.
Of course.
Like mobility. Instead of solving the root cause of your shoulder pain, you told yourself a story that you just have shoulder pain. You always have or you always will. I played baseball. Whatever that story is, I think you identify the real root cause of Kevin's problem was not doing enough mobility work. But he had the wrong you didn't identify that problem, therefore you couldn't focus on a solution.
Yeah, I think this is one of the conclusions we came to was it's easier to focus on the problem when you're afraid of the solution.
Oh, that's fire. That's
Right?
really
Like,
good, yeah.
It kind of is that. You're going to focus on what's easier. There's a reason the solution hasn't been done already,
I know.
right? And
It's because you have a subconscious aversion to it because you're probably afraid.
Right.
On the other side of fear is the solution,
right.
honestly.
Yeah, it is. And a lot of times you know the solution.
Yeah.
It's almost like more often than not, you know the solution. I genuinely believe that the amount of times you screw up and get back up is a positive trait because you can figure out how fast you can go from failure or the problem to the solution. If you can go from the problem to the solution very quickly, you are valuable and you will be successful.
Yeah.
Eventually. I mean, you might not be right away, of course not, but I think that's the thing. Like, you're broke once. If you're broke one time and you realize, oh, you know what? I have this product or this service that I love. Let me communicate that effectively. Let me do whatever tactics I come up with.
Selling with integrity.
Selling with integrity, some would say. Hyperconscious sales.
Mastermind.
Sales. What was I saying?
Hyperconscious mastermind.
Yeah.
Selling with integrity.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Episode number
That's-
412.
We have too many
Yeah,
episodes.
I know. It's a lot. But continue.
I just think that if you have a problem, you can actually think of it as a good thing because it's going to force you to get better at something that you're not great at already. And again, this is not always my mindset, right? Sometimes when I have a problem, I'm in that scarce place,
Right.
for sure. But as I was talking to this person today, I was literally like, remember this for yourself. Next time things hit the fan, a problem is an opportunity to create a solution that you didn't know existed. And what happens when you repeat that solution over and over again? You make progress and you never have that problem again or that version of that problem again.
Yeah, you create abundance.
Yeah, you get to put your head up higher every time. Whoop, whoop.
Bob Proctor says if you know how to make $100, you know how to make $1 million. It's just learning how to repeat that process consistently over time.
Uncle Bob
Yeah.
from the north.
From the yeah, from Canada. Bob Proctor. Really, really, really intelligent, hyperconscious man.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of listening to him.
Yeah,
I
same.
love the spirituality, but also like the confidence with which he knows. Like there's a knowing.
Yeah,
Very similar to Dave.
Lots of study.
Yeah, lots of
behind
study.
that.
Do you have anything to add?
I would say 10-second blips. Do it.
10-second blips. Hold on. Let me grab my notebook again. Switch from scarcity of what is to the abundance of what could be, and your whole life will change.
That's fire. I would say anywhere that you are scarce in your life is an opportunity to master a skill that will create abundance later in the future.
Ooh, you might have taken that one. We're going to have to keep score of 10-second blips.
10-second blips. So far, it's
100 to nothing, Kevin.
yeah, yeah.
Undefeated.
Undefeated Kevin Palmieri.
Undefeated.
Jeff 1 and Jeff 2.
Jeff 1 and Jeff 2.
All right.
Go on.
So every Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have a mastermind. We're actually about to get on one just after this. Kevin's going to talk about what it really takes to live your dream life.
Yes, so that's what you guys will be hearing on tomorrow.
I'm about to bring this real. So when we look back on our life, which I've been doing a lot lately, it's very, very clear to me that the influences of the people in my life were the biggest difference. And you hear me say it every week, but like, if you're not happy with your life, I'm telling you, getting around new people is going to change it. There's nothing I could tell you. There's no tip or trick that's going to be as effective as actually reaching out to other like-minded people. It doesn't feel like a micro win, so it doesn't immediately pay off. But the relationships you nurture with growth-minded people are going to make the difference. They just are in the long run. Please take my word for that. Join us. I already told Amy yesterday on tonight's Mastermind, we're going to mention 3 separate times to put your Instagram handle in the chat if you're willing, because we want you to network with each other, build relationships with each other, connect offline. And that's a big part of this. Like, think about your friendships, right? Some of them are based on drinking. Some of them maybe are based on basketball. Some of them are maybe based on baseball, whatever you were into. What if they were based on growth? My best friendships now are all based on growth. My best relationships now are all based on growth. Start creating those now, and I promise you'll look back and go, thank goodness I went to that Hyperconscious Mastermind.
I like that. We put a poll up recently in Hyperconscious Nation, which we're at 265 or 270 members now. Keep on hammering. About what is the biggest struggle you're going through, or what are you most interested in? And the vast majority of people said meeting like-minded people. Now, again, and this is going to be a little hardcore. Some people talk about it, some people do it, right? Every week we have anywhere from 50 to 30 people in this mastermind, and they all want the same thing as you. They want to get better, and they want to make connections. And some of them are website designers, some of them have podcasts, some of them are coaches. So it's an opportunity to connect, especially if you're struggling right now because you're unable to connect face-to-face with COVID.
So important.
So important. Also, if you want to start a podcast, you definitely have a message that you could share with the world. I think everybody does. If you have a podcast and you want to grow it, scale it, monetize it, if any of those things are possible or you're feeling them, I would love to do a free 30-minute consultation with you. My goal is only to add value. I'm not going to try to sell you on anything, but I'm in a lot of Facebook groups, and I'm realizing very quickly that most people have podcasting misconstrued, and they're not sure why they're doing what they're doing, and that's why most people only last 7 to 21 episodes. That's the average before people quit.
Last thing here, I do those free calls as well. If you're out there right now and you want to achieve your dreams, you're not going to be able to do it alone. Nor could I, nor could Kevin. You're never going to hear someone say, I wish I had less mentors. I wish I asked less questions. I wish I read less books. I wish I had less coaches. Anyone who hires a coach ends up saying that that's the reason they're successful. Brendan Burchard has a coach. Tony Robbins has a coach. Reach out. We're going to be able to add value on those calls, and I can't wait to meet you.
Fire. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed this episode. As Alan mentioned, tomorrow you are going to hear what it really takes to live your dream life. Again, 3.5, 4 years ago, I was suicidal. This speech is about the 5 things that made the biggest difference in my life, and Alan will be jumping in, so it is going to be a dual speech. Very rare dual speech. You don't see that often, but the Hyperconscious podcast is bringing that.
Oh, yeah?
We're bringing that. We hope you'll enjoy, and we will see you guys tomorrow.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.